Oh, perhaps we should bring in some cheery news in this gloomy January. Comedian, indeed, Zoe Lyons is back with a new tour. This time she's speaking about her recent alopecia and having a midlife crisis. Now, I know it might not sound very cheery, but of course, she makes it all hilarious. Here's Zoe in action.
I've started sea swimming as well. It's very on trend, I know. Very on trend, sea swimming. I refuse to call it wild swimming because I'm not a salmon. I'm not returning to the place of my spawning. I'm just swimming. That's literally all I'm doing. You do two things in water. You swim or don't swim. That's what you do. You don't go for a wild walk, do you? I'm just going wild walking.
Well, she made us laugh a lot earlier, didn't she? Because she joined us and she started by telling us exactly what happened during this midlife crisis of hers.
I developed alopecia, my hair fell out, the majority of it. I was left with a sort of bizarre sort of tuft. You know those sort of good luck trolls that you get on the end of your desk when you're doing exams? I looked a bit like that. My wife and I have 25 years split up during the pandemic for a year. We've subsequently got back together again. And yeah, now with a bit of time and distance between all of those events and now, I've hopefully turned all of those things into a funny tour.
It's interesting. You're going on tour now, but initially when all these things were going on in your life, it wasn't your go-to to do what you usually do. Why is that, particularly as a comedian? Because that's what comedians usually do, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. People kept saying, you must be finding loads of material in this time. And actually, I wasn't. I was struggling as a human being, like a lot of other people. And then when the hair went as well, I did not want to go on stage. I did not want people to look at me. I didn't have the confidence. And it took a long time before I went, if I don't take control of this, it will take control of me and I will have to change what I do for a living. So I decided to start talking about it on stage. And simply by doing that, it just took the sting out of it. It took the sting out of it. And also, it introduced me to an awful lot of people who are going through similar things. And I realised by talking about it, in a small way, I could help other people. Selfishly, in a big way, it was really helping me.
Yeah, I bet seeing their reaction and hearing people laugh a bit at you, a bit along with you, it must really help and help them too. I mean, during the pandemic, you couldn't go on stage. You had that taken away from you. We were talking just before this interview. I actually watched you on a Zoom Christmas party, didn't I?
Yeah, you very kindly said it was one of the ones that went OK, because they didn't always. So, yeah, it was really hard for us as comics. And I think we all realised how much we needed that human interaction, that human connection. So when we were first able to go back into real rooms with live audiences, that sound of laughter, honestly, it is a cliche, and people say laughter is the best medicine, but honestly, that communal feel was so good for the soul. So it's going to be really nice to be back out on tour and being able to do that again.
So how did you overcome it? Because it's extraordinary. I think you're going to inspire many people just talking about your journey.
Well, I reached a point where I realised that, I had some telly work coming up as well, and I thought, I can't go on with this comb over. I basically had a comb over. I went, I can't do this. So I went and I got a really brilliant wig made by a wonderful woman, which allowed me to go out and do the telly work that I had coming up. The funny aspect of that was the 3 telly jobs that I did straight after getting my wig made were all outside in high wind conditions. So again, I was going, how am I going to keep this on? I'm going to have to gaffer it on. Do you know what? Wiggy did me proud. She stayed in place. She stayed in place. But, yeah, you couldn't have made it up.
Zoe, we always talk about men's midlife crisis. You are starting the conversation on women's midlife crisis. I need to hear more about it.
This is the thing. And we often talk about women's midlife crisis in association with the menopause and being sort of, oh, it's hot in here and I feel a bit weepy. But also we go through huge emotional turmoil and introspection as well. And, I did buy the sports car. I did have a comb over, and I did leave my wife. So
Women's midlife crisis.
As cliched as you could get.
Zoe, thank you so much for joining us on 5 News. Good luck with the tour.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.